Yeah, she's got some nice long hair.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Happy New Year. Welcome back. And thank you guys so much for coming back and subscribe, everything that you guys do out there. Thank you all so much. And like I said, Happy New Year. I'm kind of going live randomly throughout the day today just because didn't get a chance to record yesterday. It was New Year's and also had to cope from this terrible loss that the Bears suffered at the hands of the Detroit Lions, 41-10. We're here to break it down, but we're also here to talk about what's next. What good did I also see out there as well? It was really hard, but there were some bright spots, but there was a lot, and I mean a lot of downsides. Obviously, we lost by 31 points. We had 30 total yards of passing, 200 rushing, congrats, but 239 passing yards we gave up, 265 on the ground. Not a good performance by basically anybody out there. So that's what we're going to be breaking down today. And next week, or on this Thursday, we're going to be breaking down the final game for the Chicago Bears. I'm excited to start the offseason. I'm pretty sure we all are, and we need that time away from this team. We'll still try and enjoy the final game because we'll miss a lot of football, but my gosh, it can't come quick enough. So let's go through my 10 takeaways. This might be a quick little episode. We'll see what ends up happening. But let's start this off with my takeaways on the offensive side of the ball. Like I said, 30 yards passing, 200 yards rushing. And my number one takeaway is losing like this hurts a team, right? We've been talking so much about, should the Bears lose? Is it good to root for the Bears to lose, right? And every time that they would lose, you wouldn't feel bad about it. And it didn't seem like it affected this team. But this loss appeared to have affected the Bears, affected the morale because they just got destroyed. Right? Like at the very beginning, it was 10-7. We were up. And then 17 points in the second, 14 in the third, only 3 in the fourth. And that was the longest fourth quarter in the history of mankind. It was just not a good game. And when you lose like this, it really just damages the morale of the team because everybody's out of it. Nobody wants to play. Nobody wants to do anything. And that's where it's so damaging. Losing like this hurts a team. Losing close ones, yeah, it stinks, right? It stinks. It's not saying that it's not bad, but when you lose like this is where it's heartbreaking. It's difficult to stomach when you're the Bears, especially if you are a player. It's hard for the fans. It's probably even more hard for them. This is the only time that it really seemed like this team was actually mad at each other throughout this season, which is a lot of telling to the coaches, way to keep everybody together, but you can't have another loss like this. Otherwise, yeah, these are the losses that affect you. So let's go to my second takeaway because this also kind of goes off of it too. Don't hurt Fields because that's my big thing. I don't want to see Justin Fields get hurt. How many people out there were watching this game just going, just go down, throw it away. Don't take the hit. Don't try and run it, right? We're down by so much. And to me, this is the first time that I was actually like, all right, don't put Fields out there because we were losing. And Matt Eberflus said, hey, I kept him out there to get some real game reps. And I respect that, but we're not winning. This just was a very sad down type of game. I would have put him in the fourth, right? I wouldn't have pulled him at the third or anything like that. It would have been more so the fourth, but still, it just was not good. Justin Fields did not have a good game. 7 of 21 passing. Not a great game. And usually you can blame the receivers or you can blame other things. Yeah, the blocking wasn't there. Receiving wasn't there, but also Justin Fields didn't look that great either. And now I'm debating on if you should play him for the Vikings. I know some previous NFL players that I listened to, they talked about, hey, maybe you shouldn't play no matter what. Even before this game, they were like, why not? Right? Treat it as a preseason. Who's fighting for the team next year as that last game? And I like that idea, especially since we're going against the Vikings, and the Vikings aren't necessarily playing for too much. They're playing for that second spot in the NFC playoff race. So it's not crucial, but hopefully they're at least bringing out there and they want to try and rebound after a bad loss as well. Right now, the betting lines, it's actually a pick 'em. So if you're a gambler, use promo code unbearable at betus.com, 125% back on your first deposit. But seriously, I actually put money on it too because I'm like, well, it's only a 1 point thing. And I feel like the Bears are going to probably lose. And I kind of hope that they lose so that we get the better pick. But also, just because I brought up the pick did not change. We still have the second pick in the draft, but basically what happens if the Bears win and then everyone else that they needed to lose or loses as they expect, like the Denver Broncos and the Cardinals, if those both lose and the Bears win, we have the fourth pick, which is really bad because we might lose out on Jalen Carter and Will Anderson. So just throwing that out there, we want the top pick. We want one of the best picks because we've suffered enough as Bears fans this season. But let's go to my third takeaway for this game and keep this going. So, number 3, Braxton Jones' weakness was exploited. So, that's something that I just felt like Braxton Jones has been so good. We talk about him every single week like, man, Braxton Jones, you're doing fantastic. But this week, it seemed like they exploited his biggest weakness, which is the bull rush. That bull rush has hit him before, and that's literally all James Houston was doing against him, was able to rack up, I think, about 3 sacks against him. Yeah, 3 sacks, and overall was a gross performance by Braxton Jones. Does this mean Braxton Jones shouldn't be the starter? No, it just means that he needs to get better at that anchor ability out there. So that's something that's super big out there. But let's go out. Also, some comments out here. Tiff Tiff, I read you're live streaming at the wrong time. Yeah, I was like, okay, it's so late last night. Ended up not doing anything. But yeah, didn't live stream. So apologies to everybody for missing that last night. But we'll be back next week for sure. But also, Don Burr, welcome back. Detroit versus everybody. For those that listen, Don Burr is like the Lions fan across YouTube. So, of course, he had to say that, saying that they're still scoring as we speak. So, just had to throw that jab in. But yeah, it was a gross, bad game that was just hard for everybody. And a lot of people checked out. So, let's go to, like I said, Braxton Jones, poor game. But let's go to my fourth takeaway. Rest in peace, Dieter Iselin gang. Now, I don't know why, but you could probably go around some old podcasts like for other people. There was a Dieter Iselin hive, and maybe you were a part of it too. There was a Dieter Iselin gang that was like, he's the starting guard, he's the starting center, but it's like he's not that great. And he was bad when he came in for Tevin Jenkins. Obviously, you lose Tevin Jenkins, you lose Schofield, and then in comes Dieter Iselin. Dieter Iselin did not look great, right? He's a practice squad guy for a reason. And also, he's more of a center. He's not a guard. He's that lighter weight size. And so it was a little bit bad for him to be thrusted at that right guard spot. And we said this before in the pre-show. Hey, the Detroit Lions are good on the defensive interior. So he was tossed around, did not look good. So Dieter Iselin fans, I don't think there's going to be a lot coming out, a lot of love going out for Dieter Iselin. Also, my fifth takeaway, I swear we're going to talk about positive things for this offense, or as much as we can, but there wasn't a lot of good. Number 5, donde está Chase Claypool, right? That means, where is Chase Claypool? So he's active. I get that he's got a banged up knee, but he just never got the ball. He never got the ball passed to him. And it starts sparking some concerns. Now, I'm not saying we're not going to be trading for, or we need to get rid of him or anything like that. But it makes you go, why do we trade for him? Right? especially when you hear that T. Higgins might be available. You're like, oh, I would trade a 2 for him. Oh, we traded that for Chase Claypool. Crap. Right? Like, that's how it feels with Chase Claypool right now. He was out there for a lot of snaps and only got one target, and it wasn't complete, right? And now we didn't throw it well. We didn't pass it really well. But Chase Claypool, you got to be better than that. Yeah, Byron Pringle, 4 targets, no catches. Everything always seemed to be off with them. But Chase Claypool, 1 pass, it's not great, right? And Tiff Tiff saying, we got duped from the Claypool trade. Yeah, like that's what it's looking like right now. And he has until next year to stew on this because if he balls out the final game, we're not going to go, actually, now that I'm saying that, there's a good handful of us that are going to go, that was Chase Claypool. This is what we're going to be getting. But he needs to show what he's capable of because otherwise the Bears are going to say, listen, you're still going to be on this team, but we're going to have to get somebody. We're going to have to get a number 1. You claim that you're a top 3 wide receiver, but you're not going to be a top 3 wide receiver on this team if you keep playing the way that you are. So Chase Claypool, where is he? Right? Where is he? He has the perfect opportunity to try and step up and do something, but he just hasn't done that. And 6, like I said, we're going to talk about some positive things now. I'm going to go to my 6th takeaway. Kmet is a great blocker. Like just watching him out there, he's a good tight end. And I've always been critical of Cole Kmet, but just when a lot of bad stuff's going on, Cole Kmet is a good blocker, but will remain a solid receiver. Like to me, I think he's just a solid receiver out there. I don't think he's going to be taking the next step and being an elite receiver anytime soon. I just think he's a good receiver, but I think what makes him so valuable as a tight end is his blocking. Watching the game, he was a phenomenal blocker, did very well. So to me, I really liked what I saw out of Cole Kmet, but still, you see with the drop, he's just not going to be an elite receiver, I feel. But still, it doesn't mean he's not going to be a good or a great tight end because of his all around ability. It's hard to find someone that is that good all around. Also, Tiff Tiff said, should we blame Getsy for not getting Claypool involved, though? I don't really think so. I mean, offensive coordinators should always share some blame with a wide receiver not getting involved just because I always think of the great Steve Smith. He says, I run the routes. I don't choose what I'm running, but that's what I got to do, right? So that's a big thing is maybe he was running some bad routes. I don't really want to watch this tape again. I don't want to relive this game, but still, Justin Fields goes through his progressions. And that's where I don't blame Getsy, so to speak, so much because it just seemed like he doesn't get open, right? He's not separating enough and he's not showing enough to Justin Fields, right? If you are a true number 1, you should be dominating the guys off the line of scrimmage and creating that separation. He's just not. He's just not looking great out there. So overall, not great. But still, like I said, I wanted to at least bring up some high points. Khalil Herbert looked good, right? Khalil Herbert was bad the week before. 6.2 yards per carry for Khalil Herbert. Monty only 4, but still, Khalil Herbert looked good out there. And it's nice to see, especially since David Montgomery's future is still in question. But also, too, Bayless Jones, right? Bayless Jones on the end around, you go, man, looks like a playmaker and didn't fumble the football. So we said that. Just don't fumble the football. But you see he's got some good speed, some good game-breaking ability. He's not going to be a number 1 anytime soon or anything like that. That's where still maybe he's just a year behind. Hopefully next year they can get him more involved as a weapon. He did get 1 target. It seemed like they were really trying to exploit his speed out there on that 1 target, but still, I thought that Bayless at least looked pretty good. And like I said, Cody Whitehair returning at left guard wasn't like dominant, but looked decent. So to me, those are actually some of the bright spots from there. The tackle play was terrible. The center, I mean, Musty wasn't terrible, but Musty wasn't good. I mean, it was a good Musty game, so that means it was a bad center performance. but really, the only people that think you could actually take something positive away was Cole Kmet, and Bayless, and also, let's see, Khalil Herbert, and yeah, Cody Whitehair. So not a great offensive game. Let's switch over to this defensive side of the ball, and then we can get on with coping still from this loss. So let's go over to my last 4 takeaways. Number 7, this entire defense needs to be blown up. I think that's just the way it is, right? Because when you're watching this, mainly being blown up as in these guys shouldn't be out there, right? DHC shouldn't be your starting safety. Jalen Jones shouldn't be your starting corner. Blackwell struggled, but then got banged up. But I will say, Hand, the corner, the one with the dreads, the outside, he actually looked pretty good. Watching it, he seemed, when he came in, he was a step up from Jalen Jones at that outside corner position. So honestly, I thought that Hand, bravo, give him some claps right there. So that is a good takeaway that we can take away from it. But yeah, this defense just looked bad. The D line did not seem to be out there. I honestly, part of me questions the coaching a little bit when I see this. And I hate doing that because you don't have enough to make a good defense. But this defense just doesn't look disciplined. And yes, they've had injuries, but still it kind of settles me wrong when they're not playing at least competent, like just semi-competent, poor, not terrible, like what we saw out there. But let's keep on moving. My 8th takeaway, I'm giving props to Justin Jones. Justin Jones, I was not a huge fan of the signing, mainly because they thought that they were going to get Ogunjobi as well. So him as the guy at the D tackle didn't seem good. But Justin Jones has played well the last handful of games to end out the season. Now, this puts a big question on what is Justin Jones going to be? Who is he going to be on this team moving forward? To me, the Bears can get out of his deal, but I like him as a good depth piece, and then you sign other people to put in front of him. If you're not able to get someone, maybe he could be that kind of, not a 3 technique. He's never been a 3 technique, more that 5, more that quote unquote nose tackle, if you will, the guy that's supposed to take on multiple blockers to let a Jalen Carter kind of feast at that 3 technique spot. But overall, Justin Jones wasn't bad. Got a sack against a very, very good D line. So I have to give him props there. And he did fight through. Travis Gibson's was a little fluky, but really, I thought Justin Jones played pretty well overall. My 9th takeaway, though, we're almost there to the finale. My 9th takeaway, put in Gates. That's what I want to see. I want to see DeMarquise Gates out there, because treat this last game as, what do you have with some of these players? Now, some of these 1-year deals, Nicholas Morrow should not be back unless you're leaving him out there as a coverage-only guy. Another week where Nicholas Morrow looked terrible. Not bad. Terrible. He gets pushed around like crazy. He can't stuff a run. He's not meant to be an every down linebacker, but we're playing him that way. At least like defensive coordinators, Alan Williams, why not try and put other linebackers out there and only put Nicholas Morrow out there in passing situations? I don't understand why that hasn't been made. But I think overall, I want to see DeMarquise Gates out there, because we saw what Sanborn had. We saw what DeMarquise Gates was in the preseason. So that's why I think I just want to see him. He was out there for a play. I want to see him out there for more. Why not see what he's capable of? And why not put out Weatherford as well? Put out those younger guys to see what you have with them, because Joe Thomas is a vet, might retire this year, right? He's 32 years old, but you know what you have with him. Matt Adams isn't any crazy name out there. So why not see what you have with the undrafted rookie free agents? I think I mainly want to see that just because I want to at least be entertained, right? If we stink, I can at least watch almost like a preseason game what are these undrafted guys doing? So that's the big reason why I think ultimately I went to Marquise Gates out there. But my last takeaway, going over to the special team side, Bayless has proved himself from the kick return spot. He looked great. 63 yards on the kick return. I love seeing him back out there. The guy is a playmaker, and he just needs to be disciplined. He just needs to hold on. It's like literally so simple. Hold on to the ball. Just take care of the ball. It's easier said than done, but still, it was awesome to see him do well because you want to see someone that you drafted do well. But the only thing I put not on punts though. He wasn't out there on the punt return duties. They had Cement Shoes Ebner back there returning punts later on. So that's where you'll want to see Bayless out there. Bayless is clearly a playmaker. Cement Shoes Ebner, hence the reason why he's Cement Shoes Ebner. He's not good. He's not fast. He's not a playmaker like a Bayless Jones. So overall, and hey, Cairo Santos made a field goal and an extra point. So let's go, special teams. Overall, a pretty decent game for them, especially if your punter, Trenton Gill, punted 7 times. So overall, it was just a difficult game. It was a difficult game, ladies and gentlemen. But hey, make sure to stay tuned. Make sure to like and subscribe. Brighter skies are coming. One more week of this regular season. Enjoy the last game. Try to enjoy it as much as you can. We'll break it down on this Thursday. Hopefully somebody will tell us, are they going to be playing their starters? Are they not? I could still see them just playing it like a normal game, but I'm really curious to see what the Vikings end up doing. But also, I'm excited to see the rankings because the simulation chose the Bears. So now I am taking a good lead inside of that. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited to break down the offseason. We're getting almost to that time. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and Unbearable Sports Podcast, we're out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a